Right, how do I turn this music off? It's probably going to lead through. That was the Wimpy's Japanese pop punk band. Hi, Andrew. Sorry, this is coming through late. I have to cancel our recording of a podcast, but I just thought I'd read my notes from the gig I went to on Thursday in replacement and then intersperse it with some noise. I went to a gig on Friday. I went to see the Halo Effect and Meshuggah. They were playing the Kulttuuritalo in Helsinki 4 months after they were originally due. I wasn't going to review this because I just thought during the gig, there's nothing to review. It's just fucking brilliant. If you have the chance to see Meshuggah, go and see Meshuggah. The original show was postponed due to a sudden illness, Meshuggah illness. So, 4 months later, here we are in mid-August seeing Meshuggah. I got a bit bored. The Halo Effect were they were good. They did what they did very well, but they're not my thing anymore. Really, they're ex-members of In Flames and maybe a few other Swedish mid-90s melodic death metal bands from Gothenburg. I made some notes during that. This is the Halo Effect song Shadow Minds. Shadow Minds. So when did people start clapping along at gigs in time spontaneously? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, or even as a thing to do generally? It's awful. Stop, people, stop. Maybe do it if the band asks, but not before the band asks. It feels like it turns a metal gig a bit too safe. Nothing weird is going to happen, it feels like. And I noticed this years ago, I went to see the so-called Big Four, Thrash Four, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Sepultura. I think Sepultura was part of it. I don't know. Yeah, to all these bands, it was just like people started clapping along, and it just, I don't know, removed an element of atmosphere for me that I like in a gig, which is that if it's immersive, you don't necessarily need to clap along if immersive. You're not. It's you're surrounded by the music, and I feel the clapping just takes me out of it. I just don't like it. It's not nice. Also, I don't think I've been to such. The other note I made was I don't think I've been to such a. I don't know if there's a politically correct term. Such a sausage fest in concert terms since I've been living in Finland for about three and a bit years now. Even the metal ones, even the punk ones, and even the grindcore underground ones, they tend to be fairly well balanced. It was not fairly well balanced on Friday. It was very, very overwhelming. The final note I made is the Kulttuuritalo is a late 1950s building designed by one of the giants of modernist architecture of the 20th century, and the most famous Finnish one, Ava Aalto. It is a red brick construction, and the concert hall, which can host just under 1,500 people, has a sort of gymnasium feel to it. It is also where I saw my first post-pandemic gig. Sparks, who I love, played to a seated and masked audience. It was. I looked it up a bit in the Wikipedias, and Aalto designed it for free for the communist organisation, which in 1958 it was its biggest it was ever in Finland, and it's considered one of his major works. It was sold to the city of Helsinki in 1990 after the communists in Finland went bankrupt, and throughout its history, it's hosted decadent Western capitalist bands. So there's nothing new on Friday night. And so other notes I made during. Now, this is during Meshuggah's set. I swear Meshuggah strings, as in bassist and guitarists, and vocals keep time by tapping their long beards on their chest. They all had long beards, and they kept nodding their heads. Maybe when they were trying to keep time with how the drummer was doing, because he's an amazing experience to sort of witness.
Oh yeah, this is my track of the week. It's from the album Catch 33 from 2005. It has, for some reason, the Meshuggah drummer decided to program all his drums, so it's not the greatest recording in many ways. They can be good programmed drums, but he's a monster. He's a monster. But this is amazing live. So it's called, I guess the section of the song is called "In Death Is Death," and it's just an amazing riff, and it was like it really stood out at a moment in a concert. So interesting.
Experience to sort of witness. Cultural experience. There is soap in the dispenser, paper towels stacked, and the toilet and urinals are relatively clean. People put their plastic cups in the bin or out of the way. No one talks to anyone they don't know. Next, Tom Morello solos. Yes, Rage Against the Machine guitarist. It struck me. I was trying to link Meshuggah to music I knew. This is something I think most people do. Oh, it sounds like this and that sounds like that. And I felt like he does these really amazing dissonant solos, but sometimes it was just very quite atonal in a similar way to Tom Morello. But then this linked me again to sort of the mid-90s movement to sort of very rhythmic music. But they take it to... So I said, this is like Rup Sepultura, taken to the most complex imagines. They started doing this style of metal. Meshuggah started doing this style of metal in the mid-90s, so there was all this sort of stuff around rhythmical music, rhythmical metal and heavy rhythms in the mid-90s, but there's so much more complex to it. So it's, sometimes you watch the guitarists, they are doing the 0-1-0-1-0-1 sort of thing that... is quite prevalent in nu metal. So some of the riffs are incredibly simple in terms of melody, but the rhythm is anything but simple. And it's rhythm, of course, that Meshuggah is all about. Another note, there's a section separator in a second-hand record shop in West London that reads, simultaneously smarter and dumber than your typical metal band, which I think is really what Meshuggah is about. There's something something about it that feels like it speaks to a very primitive part of my brain. Meshuggah does this propulsion thing with timing. It syncs with the sort of meathead side of you whilst being incredibly complex rhythmically. They really fuck with you. And I think their genius is that they make it sound pretty easy. They're not doing there's no compulsion to count, to bob your head to bob your head or whatever they're doing, nodding their head in that case. But yeah, you have these bands that you have riffs. They're very clever. They're sort of the more traditional prog rock riffs, I would say, where there is sort of this evidence of quite a heavy time signature thing happening. Whereas with Meshuggah, I feel like the genius is that they get you to feel what they're doing, and it can be in whatever time signature they want it to be done in, or any sort of syncopated beat or polyrhythmical moment, but you feel it, and you don't necessarily have a compulsion to count it. And so the last note I made, and this was on Saturday, is not wanting to diminish what they do, but I feel it's more like seeing a mastercrafts. But it's more like seeing master craftspeople than artists. So maybe this is unfair comparison, and I've done a research into the definition of the two of what is an artist or a master craftsman, but picking out of the air. With an artist, you're not sure you're going to get. It might be amazing, otherworldly. It also might be shit. You think of Bowie, The Clash, Mingus, Sparks, Kate Bush, and so on. They're artists. These people who sort of you follow through their ups and downs, and they sort of do things as an art. And craftspeople perfect what they do. It's no less impressive than an artist, but it's also more guaranteed, more predictable, more recreatable. But to keep surprises, to keep enough variation, the nuance of Meshuggah is artistic. And I guess this is sort of an interesting sort of contemplation of what is the difference between a mastercraft person and an artist. And artists, I would say the difference is unpredictability, and a craftsperson is sort of someone who perfects something that is something much more sort of also earthy, whereas art is quite ethereal. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble now, but this is going to be quite a short one, and this is, I guess, a gig review. It was a very good gig. If you get the chance to see Meshuggah, I highly recommend it. They know how to do their shit. It's great. Have a lovely day. And just to close us out, this is the Wimpies with Back to the Summer Beach.